Alright, boys and girls, today's lesson is lesson 4-3, place value in word problems. So, the last lesson we talked about place value, and we talked about ways to draw pictures to represent place value, and we used blocks and we used shapes. So, just to refresh your memory a little bit, we used a little circle as a 1, we used a line as a 10, we used a square as 100, and then we used a tall rectangle as 1,000. So, based on that, I'm going to go over some problems with you today to work on, and then we're going to get into our workbook pages. So, I'll push this aside. The first thing I'm going to ask you is if I had the number 1,237, okay, I want you to draw this on your paper, and how would it look as in shapes? How would it look in shapes? So pause it, draw it, and then unpause it. Okay, so to start, I would make the tall rectangle because I have 1,000. For the 2, which is 200s, I would do 2 squares. For the 3 tens, I do 1, 2, 3. And then for the 7 ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That right there would show me 1,237. Okay, let me give you another one here. Actually, I'm going to write down a few. I'm going to give you 1,659, 1,302, and 1,263. I want you to work on all three. I want you to pause it, work on all three of these on your own, and then I'll pause it. Alright, so let's start with 1,659. Okay, we know we're going to have 4 shapes because there's a digit, there's something in each one of these. There aren't zeros. So we know we have 1,000. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 100s. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tens. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Excuse my little... Whoa, it's not the eraser that I wanted. This is... Okay, so forget the little smiley face I made on there. There should be 9 dots. Alright, so for the next one, 1,000. It tells me here we have 300s. 1, 2, 3. And then look, it shows 0 tens. So I don't put anything here. There's 0 tens, so I can just go onto my ones and just go 1, 2 ones. Remember that. It's very important that you know that there's 0 tens, even though in this case it doesn't really matter too much because the number's already written for you. But sometimes if there's a 0 in there, you have to put the 0 when you write the number, like yesterday, like the last lesson we talked about. So you have to put that 0 in there. Next one, we have 1,000. You have 2 100s, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tens, and you have 1, 2, 3 ones. Hopefully that was pretty easy for you. Alright, so I do want to talk about a number here. Let's do the number 1,847. If I had to ask you some questions, and I asked you what digit is in the tens place, okay, what digit is in the tens place? Well, there's a 4 in the tens place, okay? So what is the value of that digit in the tens place? Okay, this is what I want you to think about. What is the value? There's a 1 there, but the value is 1,000. There's an 8 in the hundreds, but the value isn't 8. The value is 800 because it's 8 100s. There's 4 tens, so the value is 40. 4 tens, 40. And here we have 7 in the ones place of the value. There would be 7. So for this number, 2,653, and there's a 2 in the thousands place, what is the value for that 2? Okay, I want you to write that down in your book real quick. You don't have to pause it. I'll just not say something for a couple seconds as you write it down. Okay, well, hopefully you know that there are 2 thousands, so that means the value is 2,000. Same with the 6 in the hundreds place. It's 6 100s, so the value is 600. 5 in the tens place, the value is 50. 3 in the ones place, the value is 3. Alright, so if I were to take these numbers given, I would have 2,000 plus 600 plus 50 plus 3. And that would give me 2,653. So doing it this way is the easiest way to do it, because this is where we break down each place value. But I want to make things a little bit harder for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the number 2,653 and I'm going to change it to where we focus on the tens. I'm sorry, the hundreds. So we have 2,000s and 600s along with 5 tens and 3 ones. But really, if you think about this, this 2,000s and 600s is really 2,600s. Okay? And that is because in the 2,000, you actually have 10 hundreds and another 10 hundreds. So here you get 20 hundreds that equal 1,000. Add on your other 600, and you get 26 hundreds plus 5 tens plus 3 ones. Okay, I'm going to show that to you one more time with a different number. Let's do the number 1,263. Okay? And I want to talk about just the hundreds. 1,000 would have 10 hundreds, right? Okay? And then you know the 200s has 200s. So that would equal 10 plus 2, so you'd have 12 hundreds. Okay? Along with 6 tens and 3 ones. I'm going to stretch your thinking a little further here. I want to keep the same number, and I want you to start thinking about tens now. Okay? So, number 1,263, we know that 1,000 has 10 tens. I'm sorry, 10 hundreds. We know the number, the hundreds has tens in each, 1, 10, and 1. So that equals 12 tens. But let's stretch a little further and go, 12 hundreds. Let's stretch your thinking a little further. Now let's try to see how many tens we can get. Okay? And there's a trick here you're going to see once I get done. But we know that 1,000 would have 100 tens. Okay? And we know that a 100 would have 10 tens. Okay? So right now we have 1,000, which is 100 tens. We have 200s, which is 10 tens. And then it says 6 tens here. So we know that's 6 tens. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you add them all together, you get 100 and, sorry, you get 20 there because there's 2 of them. 126 tens. Okay? For all of you really thinking and freaking out like, oh my gosh, this is so tough, I'm going to show you a really simple trick. If we use the number 1,263, all you really need to do is say we have 1, 2, 6 tens. Wherever you stop. We have, here's the number 1, 2, 6, and tens. So we'll stop. If we want to go further, you could say I have 1, 2, 6, 3 ones. Because we're going further. If you want to just do the hundreds, you could say you have 1 and then 2 hundreds. So you have 12 hundreds. Okay, so it's kind of a trick here. So you go to 1, 2, wherever you stop, just recognize the place value wherever you're stopping. Okay? So it's pretty deep thinking. We'll work on it more on small group. I wouldn't freak out too much. Okay, we'll get this. So let's quickly just go do a little bit of the workbook pages, and we'll talk about different forms of ways to write numbers. But the first part talks about write the number for each words. Okay, for the words, because it's written out for you. It says 212, so you know you have 212. This is how you're writing it in word form. Okay, word form is, this is how you're writing it in number form. Okay, because it's written in word form, and you're writing it in standard form. That makes it a little easier if I say standard form. So standard form is how you see it every day. Okay? Word form is when you're writing it with words, like 416 or 989 or 87. Right here you write each number in expanded form. Expanded form is where you go and you take each place value. So you say 300 plus, there's 110 plus 4 ones, or you go 2,000 plus 100 plus 40 plus 8. That's expanded form. And then the bottom one is a mixture of everything. It just kind of wants you to turn it into standard form by just saying 5,000 plus 8 tens. Remember, so that means there's 0 hundreds, 8 tens, and 7 ones. Don't forget that. There's no hundreds. You make sure you put the 0 there. Okay. So I want you to continue working on page 218 and 219. I'm sorry, 219 and 220. I want you to work on those 2 pages independently. Now, don't worry if you don't get them done. We'll work on it in a small group. 220 is kind of what we've been doing, but they're story problems. So we'll most likely do these in small group.